Hey everyone, welcome to Cruise Blog. This is Angie, and today I'm going to talk about the 9 roughest seas in the world for cruise ships. Let's get started. Planning cruises to unique destinations around the world is exciting. While there's nothing wrong with a tropical vacation to the Bahamas, there are so many different regions that can be explored via cruise ship. When planning on venturing to a new place, you must research what the weather is like. If you're prone to seasickness or are concerned about a bucket list port of call getting canceled due to poor weather, some bodies of water might not make for an ideal cruise. Even so, canceled ports of call can occur on any cruise, even to the Bahamas. While there are certain precautions that you can take, such as booking during a specific month, nothing is ever guaranteed. Whether you're looking to take an adventurous trip or are just curious, here's our list of the roughest seas in the world. Number 1. The Drake Passage. While mainstream cruise lines do travel through the Drake Passage, those looking to cross off all 7 continents will have to board an expedition vessel with hopes of stepping foot in Antarctica. Where exactly is the Drake Passage? It's the body of water that lies between Cape Horn and the South Shetland Islands. In other words, the Drake Passage is what connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The lack of nearby land masses causes strong currents. In fact, the water currents can be as fast as 150 million cubic meters per second in some areas. Combined with the strength of the waves, the Drake Passage is one of the roughest seas in the world. Number 2. The Bay of Biscay. Those hoping to have a leisurely European cruise should approach the Bay of Biscay with caution, as it's known for bad weather and rough seas. This body of water, which is located off the west coast of France and northern Spain, is home to parts of the continental shelf that extend far into the bay, resulting in some shallow waters. Additionally, the Bay of Biscay is known for heavy storms during the winter months, meaning that you can reduce the chance of poor weather by cruising during the summer. Cruises that often sail through the Bay of Biscay include those from Southampton to Portugal and Spain. Transatlantic voyages that begin in the UK and Northern Europe will often sail south and visit the Azores before beginning to cross the ocean. Number 3. The Gulf of Alaska. Thankfully, the majority of Alaska cruises will be done within the protected waters of the Inside Passage, as the presence of land provides a great deal of shelter. Select sailings, however, must cross through the Gulf of Alaska. These waters are much rougher due to the strong surface currents and cold air. Cruises subject to traveling through the Gulf of Alaska include those sailing to and from Seward, Whittier, or Anchorage. As these tend to be one-way cruises that visit more remote parts of Alaska, if you want to avoid cruising through the Gulf of Alaska, consider a round-trip cruise from Seattle. Number 4. The Atlantic Ocean. Whenever you cross a large body of water, you're more likely to encounter some rough waves since there's no land nearby to provide any protection. Typically, the winter months are the most intense. Transatlantic cruises tend to see their roughest waters in November, December, and February. Thankfully, the majority of mainstream cruise lines do not conduct transatlantic cruises in December and February. Of course, that doesn't mean you won't be impacted at other times throughout the year, particularly during hurricane season. Number 5. The Mediterranean. Are you wanting to stay in the Mediterranean and visit culturally rich ports of call like Barcelona, Rome, and Naples? While the sea itself is relatively sheltered and can be subject to rough waters in the fall and winter, as this is when the winds are the strongest. Of course, you never know when your ship will encounter random swells in the spring and summer. As with the Bay of Biscay, if you want to minimize your chance of rough seas, it's best to cruise the Mediterranean during the summer. There are, however, pros to sailing during the winter. Since there's less of a demand to cruise during these months, you can often find lower rates compared to those in July and August. With the majority of mainstream cruise lines having deployed their fleets to North America, you'll have fewer cruise lines and ships to choose from, though. Number 6. The Caribbean. The Caribbean is one of the most popular year-round cruising destinations for a reason. Nothing quite beats sinking into the white sand of a famous beach while admiring the turquoise waters with a fruity drink in hand. Even if you aren't a beach person, the Caribbean is home to numerous ports of call that all offer different excursions, ranging from active ATV tours to breathtaking zipline tours. During certain months, however, the Caribbean can get rather stormy. If you want to avoid all chances of your cruise being rerouted from an Eastern Caribbean cruise to a Western, don't sail during the busiest hurricane months. While the season technically lasts from June through the end of November, peak activity usually occurs during August and September. Additionally, some regions are less likely to be impacted by hurricanes, such as the southern Caribbean. The majority of hurricanes tend to make landfall in the Bahamas and eastern Caribbean, including the British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, and Puerto Rico. Number 7, the Pacific Ocean. Like the Atlantic Ocean, any crossing over a large body of water with minimal land surrounding it is subject to encountering some rough seas. The Pacific Ocean, however, is larger than the Atlantic, so it's not uncommon to hear about swells impacting sailings from North America to Hawaii or Australia to Hawaii. Number 8, the North Sea. Sailing through the North Sea is often accompanied by rough waters and thick fogs, as it is susceptible to high winds and waves. If you're cruising to Northern Europe, the British Isles, or even Iceland, you'll likely have to voyage through the North Sea. While trip interruptions are a risk all cruisers take, you don't want to be left with the disappointment of missed ports. Cruise blog writers Haley and Allie experienced firsthand what the rough waters of the North Sea can be like during a cruise to the British Isles in October. Halfway through their voyage, a massive storm swept through the UK, and their scheduled stops in Isle of Man and Dublin were cancelled. Number 9, the South China Sea. Typhoon season in the Northwest Pacific Ocean runs from July through November, with the peak occurring in August and September, which is similar to the Atlantic hurricane season. Storms, however, can happen at any point during the year. The South China Sea is home to what's known as the Dangerous Ground, which is an area that is infamously dangerous due to its low islands and sunken reefs that sometimes rise from ocean depths. It's also a poorly charted area and has had its fair share of territorial disputes in the past. If you're going to cruise in any of these bodies of water, know that cruising there is completely safe. Despite horror stories you may have heard about cruising during storms, it's totally safe. Cruise lines have teams that actively monitor the weather, and ships will do their best to reasonably sail around any storms that pop up. Stabilizers are a crucial component of any cruise ship. Their primary function is to minimize the amount of rocking guests feel while on board. These fins, or rotors, lie beneath the waterline and extend from the ship's hull. The newer the cruise ship, the more advanced the stabilizer system is. That doesn't mean you won't feel mega ships rocking, though. Once while on board Symphony of the Seas, I saw barf bags placed in every stairwell due to how insane the waves were. Sometimes the cruise ship's captain will restrict passengers from going outdoors as well. Regardless of when and where your cruise is, it's best to come prepared with some motion sickness remedies, such as over-the-counter medications like Bonine or Dramamine. You can also book a stateroom that's located in the middle of the ship, as this helps to act as an equilibrium point. Additionally, the stateroom should be located on a lower deck because they tend to feel less motion than those on higher decks. Well, there you have it, the 9 roughest seas to cruise on. Have you ever had a rough experience on one of these bodies of water? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you can be notified every time we have a new video. Be sure to visit Cruise Blog for more cruise tips and advice.